When the motorcycle crashed into Ryan as he was crossing the road to get to the restaurant on the opposite side, nobody witnessed the accident. Ryan lay on the side of the road for a while until his friend, Stuart, stumbled upon him. Stuart found Ryan covered in blood and unconscious. Unfortunately, there was no time to rush him to the hospital, as Ryan had already passed away in Stuart's arms. It was puzzling how nobody saw the motorcycle collide with Ryan. But what about the motorcycle rider? Did they fall off their bike on the asphalt road? Godfrey, who had arrived early at the restaurant and was a friend of Ryan's, didn't even hear the sound of cars passing by in front of the shop. However, he did recall hearing the sound of a motorcycle zooming past. Godfrey didn't pay much attention to motorcycles speeding on the small village road, as it had become a common occurrence for the young children in the area to disregard each other's safety. Only a few people in the village owned motorcycles, and they were not involved in the accident that claimed Ryan's life. It was difficult to determine who exactly had fallen off their motorcycle and crashed into Ryan. Consequently, they didn't really care about assigning blame for Ryan's death. When the Ryan family tried to contact Zane's house to inform them of the accident, they discovered that Zane and his wife were already abroad. Stuart then reminded everyone that Ryan should be laid to rest without having to wait for his son, Zane. 2 weeks after Ryan's burial, Zane and his wife were informed about the accident that had taken place. Zane couldn't help but feel upset when he remembered how difficult it was for the villagers to arrange for a hearse to bring Ryan's body back from the hospital. Stuart had to rent a car with the villagers to transport the body, but Zane tried to suppress his feelings of regret deep within his heart. He couldn't forget the memory of his father waking up in the middle of the night, disappointed by his unsuccessful business ventures. Ryan had woken up in the middle of the night to pray and had given Zane a small bottle of oil, explaining that it had no magical powers but was useful for applying on the eyebrows when dealing with business matters. Zane was instructed to keep the oil a secret from everyone. Ryan would discreetly drop the oil into the water when someone requested a flower bath, a ritual believed to hasten marriage for girls in the village. Zane was familiar with the fragrance his father used during these midnight baths, where Ryan would mix fragrant flowers and perfume in a bucket. Zane was unaware of when his father added the oil to the bucket, but he knew the significance of the ritual in the village. Ryan's actions were believed to bring about quick marriages for girls who were late in getting married. Zane understood the importance of keeping his father's secret and the tradition alive, even after Ryan's passing. The memory of his father's unique ways and the impact he had on the village lingered in Zane's heart, reminding him of the legacy Ryan had left behind. The request for a flower bath was often met with assumptions that the pleasant fragrance was simply a result of the perfume brought along. However, once the water from the flowers touched the body, an immediate sensation of coolness washed over, reminiscent of the refreshing spray of rapids crashing against rocks. Curiously, the water in the bucket was nothing more than tap water, yet it seemed to transform into bone-chilling cold upon contact with body. No one dared to question Ryan about this peculiar phenomenon, fearing the breaking of sacred taboos associated with the flower bathing ceremony. Ryan had always advised them to endure any changes they felt during the flower water bath, as sometimes it caused the body to ache, even the joints, as soon as the water touched the skin. It was a mystery that the entire body would become itchy, and the urge to scratch would be uncontrollable. Each person experienced these transformations in their own unique way, hidden from the knowledge of others. "Isn't this oil incredibly potent?" Ryan expressed his concern to Zane, urging him not to overly rely on the oil he had provided, after Zane complained about the uncertainty in his business. Less than a year after receiving a small bottle of oil, no larger than his thumb, Zane found it remarkably effortless to manage his business. Everything seemed to fall into place as expected, adhering to a predetermined schedule. Even if Zane did nothing, there was always a steady stream of business coming his way. This is why he held on to the memory of his father's unwavering dedication to ensuring his son's success in the business world. Zane and his family remained unaware of Ryan's adventure in the forest with Stuart, where he stumbled upon a field of lemongrass flowers. Excitedly, Ryan uprooted some of the plants and took them home, planting them at the edge of his yard. However, Stewart seemed indifferent to Ryan's discovery, showing no interest in the lemongrass grove being disturbed. Despite Ryan's hopes for the lemongrass flowers to possess magical properties, Stewart cautioned him against expecting too much from them. Lemongrass, like any other plant in the yard, was just another addition to the greenery. Stewart, aware of Ryan's penchant for collecting unique items from the wilderness, reminded him that not everything found in the forest held mystical powers. In addition to the lemongrass flowers, Ryan also took a white-flowered tree and a twisted section of dense bamboo or cane back home. Stewart, understanding Ryan's fondness for peculiar plants, allowed him to indulge in his collection, even though he knew these items held no special abilities. As long as Ryan's forest finds remained mere favorites, Stewart had no objections to his friend's hobby. The lemongrass flower had always thrived at the far end of the yard, filling the air with a delightful fragrance that reminded Ryan of potted flowers. Initially, he assumed his wife had placed a pandan leaf there to enhance the scent. However, the sweet aroma persisted throughout the night, surpassing the fragrance of the pandan leaf. Ryan, being well acquainted with the distinct scents of dry pandan leaves and night flowers, deduced that it must be the lemongrass emitting such a pleasant smell. Despite the nightly fragrance, Ryan's worries stemmed from his financial struggles, rather than the captivating scent. Although he aspired to be a homemaker, he knew that there were plenty of young individuals willing to work in the garden for a wage if he were to cut down the lemongrass bush. The lack of money weighed heavily on Ryan, and he found solace in the hope that his wife could weave mats and sell them to alleviate their financial burdens. Consequently, every night Ryan found it challenging to fall asleep as thoughts of their financial hardships plagued his mind. In the midst of his restlessness, the gentle breeze carrying the alluring scent disturbed him, prompting him to venture into the middle of the yard. There he could at least breathe in the refreshing midnight air that tenderly caressed his face. In the middle of the yard, Ryan came to a halt and noticed a cluster of lemongrass flowers swaying gracefully in the night breeze. The scent of their fragrance intensified as his gaze fell upon a yellow cloth entangled within the grove. As he approached, his heart skipped a beat when he spotted an elderly man with a long white beard, donning a vibrant yellow robe. The man greeted him with a warm hello, to which Ryan could only respond silently within his heart. It became evident that the delightful aroma emanated from the old man's robe, which billowed in the wind. With a gentle smile, the man extended his hand, beckoning Ryan to draw nearer. Ryan observed that the man's legs appeared intertwined with the lemongrass, as if he were rooted in place. Undeterred, Ryan bravely ventured closer to the grove, recalling Stewart's assurance that no being could rival the power of God. The yellow-robed old man continued to smile, remaining steadfast in his position amidst the lemongrass. In a gesture of peace, Ryan tapped his heel on the ground 3 times, signaling his intention not to provoke any conflict. In response, the old man gracefully waved his robe, releasing several thumb-sized pieces of incense into the air. "Ryan invited us here, why don't you like it?" asked the old man in the yellow robe, his tone friendly and inviting. Ryan, however, was skeptical. "I don't know who you are," he replied, waving his shirt dismissively. The night air was chilly, but Ryan felt a heat radiating from within him, as if he were standing under the scorching sun. Slowly, he spoke into the darkness, illuminated only by the pale moon peeking through thin clouds. "I don't know you, but perhaps it's a chance for us to get acquainted," he said cautiously. Ryan didn't want to be deceived by this mysterious figure, so he firmly warned, "If your intentions are evil, there's no need for introductions." The old man, who called himself Bruce, then revealed that he had been planting lemongrass in the heart of the forest. Ryan wondered how he knew about Bruce and his lemongrass, which had grown in the middle of the now abandoned village. It had been years since Bruce disappeared while tending to his garden, and the villagers only discovered the thriving lemongrass when they returned. They believed that Bruce's presence brought prosperity to their fields, as long as the lemongrass was cultivated with the black soil. However, a prolonged drought had forced the villagers to leave, turning the once vibrant village into an impenetrable forest. As Bruce spoke of the village's aridity and the consequences of breaking a taboo, Ryan couldn't help but feel a pang of sorrow. The villagers had been forbidden from burning rice straw after harvest, a rule that had been established after years of exploration in the area. As Bruce and his wife ventured into the swampy area on the hill's edge, they found themselves alone in their exploration, with no one willing to accompany them. Despite this, Bruce's determination to turn the swamp into a rice paddy never wavered. The lush green of the rice plants eventually caught their attention, and as the rice ripened, the fields transformed into a mesmerizing sight of shimmering yellow under the sunlight, swaying gently in the hill's breeze. Bruce didn't mind the lack of interest from the other villagers. As he saw the potential in the swamp for cultivation, he tirelessly dug the ground, creating ditches to transform the swamp into a fertile area for rice cultivation. However, as more people began to take notice of Bruce's flourishing rice paddies, he became concerned about potential theft due to envy. One night, he was startled to see his rice fields glowing like fire in the darkness, prompting him to investigate further. Leaving his wife behind, Bruce ventured into the rice fields and stumbled upon a fierce battle between two pythons, entangled in a deadly struggle. Acting swiftly, he used a flame to separate the snakes, fearing for his livestock's safety. Determined to protect his crops, Bruce retrieved his spear and swiftly dealt with the threat, ensuring the safety of his rice fields and livestock. As Bruce stormed back into the middle of the rice paddies, he was met with the sight of a lone python, its tail flapping as it coiled around itself. The snake had lost the fight and was now immobilized, unable to escape. Bruce's heart raced with worry, fearing that the victorious snake would come charging towards him, entangling him without hesitation. In a swift move, Bruce set the surroundings ablaze, hoping to ward off any potential danger. However, to his dismay, the victorious snake had already slithered away, leaving behind only a trail winding through the rice paddies like a dragged coconut tree. Turning his attention to the defeated snake, Bruce contemplated stabbing its head with his spear. The snake was gravely injured from the fight, evoking a sense of pity within Bruce. Without hesitation, he tended to the snake's wounds, using a chewed bud to nurse its battered body. It wasn't until dawn that Bruce noticed a change in the python's demeanor as it began to raise its head. "If you can crawl, run away from here," Bruce uttered, as if the snake understood his words perfectly. "If you encounter people, they will surely kill you," he warned the snake. With that, Bruce made his way back home, leaving the snake behind. When the villagers ventured into the rice paddies later that day, they were taken aback by the sight of the puddles resembling dragged coconuts. Naturally, they accused the python of dragging their livestock into the fields. Surprisingly, no one complained about their animals being lost or entangled by the snake. Whether it was goats or chickens, their absence was met with agitation, as they would usually bleat or pace all night. When Bruce was informed of the incident, he simply pursed his lips, deep in thought. Upon reaching the spot where the snake had fought, he discovered that the defeated python was nowhere to be found. Bruce believed that the snake had managed to find a hiding place, saving itself from further harm. Shortly after the incident, Bruce's worries about the rat disturbance in his rice fields vanished. While the villagers were busy dealing with the damage caused by rats in their paddy fields, Bruce's rice fields remained untouched. The villagers resorted to burning coir on the ridge every evening to keep the rats away, and on several occasions, they witnessed pythons catching mice on the ridge of Bruce's rice paddies during these nightly rituals. This led them to believe that Bruce must be keeping the python as a guardian for his paddy fields. However, during the fall season, when Bruce was cleaning the waterline ditch in the rice fields, he suddenly went missing, leaving the entire village puzzled. Initially, they spotted Bruce resting against a palm tree to take a break from the tiring task, but in the blink of an eye, he disappeared. They assumed he had returned home, but as the evening wore on, Bruce's wife informed them that he had not yet returned. After a long absence, Bruce's wife had a dream where he visited her dressed in a yellow robe, resembling rice in the middle of cooking. In the dream, Bruce reminded her that their grandchildren should not burn rice straw after the harvest, and confessed that he could not reunite with his wife after venturing deep into the vast forest. The villagers paid little attention to the taboo that Bruce's wife had dreamt about, as they were more concerned with the challenges of plowing the rice fields after the harvest. Burning the rice straw was necessary to make it easier to catch when the water entered the puddles. Despite Bruce's wife's anger, they continued to break the taboo by burning the straw in the middle of the fields. In order to prevent the water lines from flowing cloudy water into the puddles, Bruce's wife would remind them every time the season descended on the rice fields. She knew that Bruce was the one who cleaned the waterline ditch, even though no one saw him doing it. The clarity of the water in the ditch served as a sign for her. If it was murky, Bruce would go down and clean it. If the water remained clear, she knew that the rice would not grow well. Without proper care, the rice paddies would be susceptible to disease and pests like cicadas and mice. The villagers would then complain about the poor quality of the rice. Shortly after Bruce's disappearance while cleaning the gutters, his wife had another dream about lemongrass flowers growing at the end of their yard. When she woke up, she rushed to the end of the yard and was pleasantly surprised to find a cluster of fresh lemongrass flowers flourishing abundantly. Bruce's wife's death deeply affected the untouched cluster of lemongrass flowers. Sometimes Bruce's children would come across pythons coiled among the lush lemongrass bushes, their shiny scales reflecting the sunlight. Unfortunately, the villagers' insistence on burning rice straw caused a severe drought that left the fields barren and the plants withered, as if devoured by flames. Unable to farm the land anymore, the villagers reluctantly abandoned the village, allowing nature to reclaim it. When Ryan returned to the forest with Stewart to find more lemongrass, they were unable to locate the cluster. Ryan wished he had planted more lemongrass initially, as it now seemed impossible to find. However, Stewart was more interested in the discovery of a bunch of lemongrass flowers in the forest. Little did they know, Ryan's discovery of an old grave in the forest would soon overshadow their search for lemongrass. The tombstone, made from a tree branch, inspired Ryan to create wooden markers to easily locate the grave. But when he returned the next day to show Stewart, all they found were pruned trees and an overgrown mound hidden by cane bushes. Stewart casually dismissed Ryan's find as unimportant. Ryan had a vivid dream where he stumbled upon a grave, only to realize it belonged to Bruce. However, Ryan didn't pay much attention to these dreams until he encountered a mysterious man in a yellow robe who claimed to be Bruce himself. This encounter took place in a serene lemongrass grove at the edge of the yard, leaving Ryan astonished. Bruce proceeded to share intriguing details about his own life, leaving Ryan even more bewildered. To Ryan's surprise, Bruce instructed him to collect the oil that sprayed from the lemongrass bushes using a shell. In a blink of an eye, Bruce vanished into thin air, leaving Ryan with a sense of urgency to ignite the lemongrass bushes. Unfortunately, not a single drop of oil spurted out. The next morning, as the sun began its ascent, Ryan rushed back to the lemongrass grove, unable to quell the curiosity in his heart. It was then that he noticed the lemongrass was slimy, yet emitted a delightful aroma. After brushing away the foamy slime from the bushes, oil gushed out like a spring from the depths of a well. Without hesitation, Ryan aimed with the shell, but his efforts only yielded a few drops. He carefully collected the oil in a teeny bottle, barely the size of his thumb. Due to its fragrant scent, Ryan cherished it dearly. Ever since discovering the perfume-like oil on that lemongrass bush, Ryan felt a wave of good fortune washing over him. Word spread quickly, and people began lining up to secure his services, eager for Ryan to accept their orders. Each time he squeezed the oil through the cluster of lemongrass bushes, it seemed to bring him luck. He would then light incense whenever the moon was full, until the bottle was filled to the brim. As the moon waned, the oil in the bottle would also diminish, reaching only half its original volume. Ryan's life took a dramatic turn when he discovered the extraordinary powers of the oil. Not only did it bring him financial prosperity, but it also possessed an enchanting quality that could captivate anyone. This mystical oil played a significant role in Ryan's love life as well. After he poured the oil into the shell, he found himself married once again. However, the oil's true magic was revealed when it was carefully stored away. No longer did it spurt out onto the lemongrass flower, hidden from sight. Ryan's wife, consumed by anger and jealousy, blamed the lemongrass grove for her husband's infidelity and decided to take matters into her own hands. With a swift swing of her machete, she intended to cut down the grove. But fate had a different plan in store for her. As her eyes caught sight of the dazzling colors amidst the lemongrass bushes, her anger began to dissipate. The colorful stones, piled up like scattered sand, held an inexplicable allure. Ryan's wife's resentment towards him started to fade away, replaced by a newfound fascination with these precious stones. She made a decision. She would allow Ryan to marry another woman, as long as she could continue collecting these captivating gems. With the stones in her possession, she could sell them and create beautiful rings. Only she knew the perfect time to gather them, a secret she held close. Others who attempted to find the stones themselves would be left disappointed, as the stones remained hidden from their sight. Ryan, aware of the oil's power, entrusted it to his son Zane. He urged Zane to keep it hidden in his office cabinet, away from prying eyes. It was crucial that Zane's wife remained oblivious to the oil's existence. Ryan emphasized the importance of secrecy, even among his other children. As Zane faced challenges in his business, he realized that relying solely on the oil was not enough. He needed to take action and harness its potential. The oil held immense possibilities, but it was up to Zane to unlock them. However, upon encountering Shaman Rodney, an unsettling event occurred when a driverless hearse passed by. Astonishingly, Shaman Rodney himself had witnessed a hearse mysteriously appearing in the middle of his house yard at the eerie hour of 3 a.m. It seemed that this peculiar hearse had traversed through various parts of the village. "What are the shaman's thoughts on this peculiar sight?" Zane inquired, persistently seeking answers after witnessing Shaman Rodney's own surprise at the hearse's appearance in his own yard. "It appears that Ryan's spirit is restless, as there is no hearse to bring his body back home," Shaman Rodney speculated, his gaze fixed upon my face. "Moreover, I noticed something peculiar about the wall in Zane's office, resembling a spring on the bank of a well," Shaman Rodney explained, recalling a shadowy encounter surrounding Zane's workspace. Interestingly, Zane had no knowledge of Bruce, as his late father had kept the incident, involving the encounter with the old man in the yellow robe, a secret. Shaman Rodney continued to delve into the spiritual realm, revealing more about the connection between Zane and the mysterious hearse. He explained that the hearse was a symbol of unfinished business and unresolved emotions, indicating that Ryan's spirit was trying to communicate something important. As Zane listened intently, he felt a sense of unease and curiosity wash over him. The mention of the wall in Zane's office piqued his interest even further. He had always felt a strange energy emanating from that particular spot, but had never been able to pinpoint its origin. Out of the blue, Zane recalled the oil he had stored in his office. It was the same enchanting oil that his late father had gifted him. Perhaps this was the negative energy lingering after his father's passing. Could it be related to the hearse and Ryan's restless spirit? Zane couldn't shake the feeling that there was something significant about the spring by the well, as if it held the key to unlocking the mystery surrounding him. As Shaman Rodney instructed Zane to recite the sacred verse, he felt a surge of energy coursing through him. It was as if a veil had been lifted, revealing a hidden truth that had been waiting to be uncovered. The presence of Shaman Rodney felt comforting and reassuring, guiding him through this spiritual journey. With each repetition of the sacred verse, Zane felt a deeper connection to the spiritual realm and a sense of peace wash over him. He knew that he was on the brink of discovering something profound and life-changing, something that would not only bring closure to Ryan's spirit, but also unlock the secrets of his own past. Zane decided to dispose of the mesmerizing oil by tossing it into the vast expanse of the sea. We appreciate you taking the time to watch the video. Remember to hit that subscribe button on our channel so you never miss out on more spine-chilling tales that will keep you on the edge of your seat.